So tax surplus claim forms. Today we're going to talk about what this is and how to notarize it properly, or how to get one notarized. Hi, my name is Mark. I am the co-owner and co-founder of Noble Notary and Legal Document Preparers, also Noble Notary Signing Service. We regularly staff notaries. Unfortunately, as somebody who sees a lot of notarial certificates and a lot of notarial acts by other notaries, it does happen that there are a lot of mistakes made. So we make videos like this so that you as the consumer, if you have one of these tax claims, can know that it's getting done right. And if you are a notary, you're also going to want to continue to watch to see how these are properly executed. So first, let's talk about what is a tax surplus claim form. Well, this is when property has been foreclosed on and sent to auction after the lien holder or the mortgage holder, the note holder, has foreclosed on that and they've gotten paid their balance. If there's a leftover amount, that is what we would call a tax surplus, okay? So if it was you who was foreclosed on, you're entitled to those claims. Ironically, if you're somebody who seeks out these claims for other people, there's money to be made in that as well. There's a process for that. This video is not about that. That's a whole nother subject that we'll get into in another day, but there's plenty of money to be made if you can chase down people who are owed tax money, kind of a finder's fee. But I'm not going to go into that. I'm just going to go into the actual form. There is actually, you can actually use a generic and universal form for all counties. However, most county clerks, the forms are actually located right on their clerk of court's website. They'll have their own that you can just download and fill out. Particularly one I have right here is for Gulf County, which is kind of irrelevant because the same information is required pretty much for most of these documents. And again, if you want just a generic one that kind of can work in any county, check the links in the description. I have one that you can download and use no matter where you are. So with that, let's get started. Okay, so we have a claims surplus proceed for tax deed sale. Okay, the claimant, the person trying to get the money from the clerk of court, is going to put their information here. They're going to, again, put their name here. I assert my claim of surplus for the tax deed qualified as, were they the lien holder? Was this a court judgment? And where in public records is this located? What is the amount of the lien and the amount owed? In other words, the surplus amount, the surplus claim. This is all going to be right on the county clerk's website, okay? So the nature of the title, whether it was a deed, a court judgment, or other, okay? If you don't know, you can always, after this is notarized, bring it to the clerk of court. Now, for the purposes of filling this out, but again, this is all public record. It's going to be right there. When you look up a tax deed sale, they're going to have all this information for you. So we get down to here, and here's where the notary is going to come in. The claimant is going to sign, print, and date. They are going to obviously produce an ID to prove that they are who they are, and then the notary is going to put the venue. In this particular case, it was a Gulf County document. If they were not in Gulf County, you would line an initial and put what county that you are physically in, the claimant's name, what kind of ID they produced, the date that they produced, the date that this went down, that this notarial act went down. You as the notary are going to sign, not seal. We see seal here. This is not for your stamp. This is Old English for sign it. Okay, your stamp can go right here in this spot as long as it stays off the margin. And then your commission number, and that is that they are free to take this document to the clerk of court. Best practice is not to leave any blanks, so if they don't know anything and you don't want them to write something in after the fact as a notary, you're just going to want to write down NA on that document, and that is a tax surplus claim form.